As a continuation for our series of episodes targeting the introduction of the Sudanese Sufism, its history and development, here it is a time for giving glimpses and having short notes about the arrival of Sufi orders into Sudan. This is from a side, and from another side also would like to discuss the factors that have contributed to the widespread of Sufi orders and Sufism in Sudan. So Sufism was the most fundamental characteristic of Islam in the Sudan. And by the way, here just in our first episode about the Islamicization of Sudan and the role that have been played by Sufis, here just would like to repeat again the idea that the nature of the Sudanese Islam is Sufi-oriented faith in the first place. That is because to historians, the advent and the consolidation of Islamic religion into the Sudanese territories, mainly during the Fine Sultanate onwards, is attributed to the efforts that have been exerted by Sufis. However, Sufism development may be traced through two main stages. And by the way, here just what I would like to say, that the arrival of Sufis into Fine Sultanate during that time, which he started from 1504 and ended by the year 1821, has come across two different stages. The first stage known as the pre-Tariqa stage, while the second one is Tariqa stage. So about the first one, that I mean by that, the pre-Tariqa stage, just the efforts have been done by individual religious men who adopted an unaffiliated form of Sufism, that a Sufism not bound to a particular organization pattern. So this is the first stage. The first stage, by the way, it is in its essence is an effort that have been led by some religious men as individual effort. While the second stage, as I see it, is the arrival of what is known in the Sufi culture or Sufi terminology as chains of spiritual transmission. I mean by this the arrival of Sanad. So for the first time and during Fine Sultanate, the Sudan or the country has witnessed the arrival of Sufi Sanad. And by the way, the arrival of the Sufi Sanad in this particular event indicate the arrival of organized institution. That I mean by this, organized Sufi Turuq. And here just I would like to emphasize the idea that the arrival of the Qadiri Sanad, in addition to the Shaziliya Sanad, counted as the first Sanad that enters the country, and by their entering to the country and by the advent of their Sanad to the country, I mean here Fine Sultanate as a state that represent the current Sudan now is witness the arrival of these two schools of thought. I mean here the Qadiriya and the Shaziliya. However, what will be added here in this point is that, I mean here, the area of the arrival of the Sufi Sanad, here I would like to point out to two ideas. The first idea is that the nature of the Turk that has entered the country and it is first in its first arrival, by the way, is come to be divided into what is called centralized and decentralized طرق. And by the way, centralized and decentralized طرق came to form the nature of the Sudanese Sufi طرق in general, as we are going to have this area with more details in our discussion and in our episode that will be targeted to the coverage of the major Sudanese Sufi orders. However, Sufi brotherhoods or tariqas represent a significant element in the Sudanese culture and beliefs systems, as Islam mainly spread through the Sufi tariqas such as the Qadiriya, the Shaziliya, and later on the Samaniya and the Idris school of thought represented in the Khatmiya, Ismailiya, Mayzubiya, in addition to the school of my master, Sheikh Ahmad Tijani, and that is the Tijaniya, with some others طرق, as we are going also to come across in our presentation to Sudanese major طرق. Since the Sinnar Sultanate, the tariqas gain an influential role in the socio-political and sometimes economical realms. So by the passing of the time, the history of and development of the Sufi Turuqs in Sudan is at the heart of the relationship between politics and religion in the country. So the Sufi orders in the Sudan, as elsewhere in the Muslim world, draw their local representative, mainly from among established teachers and from also peasants or ordinary men, farmers, even teachers, gadis, so on and so forth. So from different walks of life, Sufism attracted the locals in the country. And by the way, this attraction, by the way, led to existence of different religious centers that have been established by those holy men. So Khalawis, that is Quranic school, in addition to Masids and Takaya, so on and so forth, all of these institutions, by the way, they came together to build up the institution of Tasawwuf, or the institution of the Sufi order itself. And from that time, these institutions, I mean, here the Sufi Turuq continued, started its effort to participate positively in the Sudanese society, and is still doing the function to the present time. By function here, just I would like to indicate to the idea of serving society in all levels, to the functions of Sufis from that time, from the arrival of their Senate during the foreign sultanate. From that time, they played, and still doing so, their different tasks by offering the service to the society in terms of religious service, economical service, social service, so on and so forth. So that is just the idea of Sufi schools in Sudan from that time up to the present moment. Following this brief introduction about the arrival of Sufism, which had been summarized into stages, that is the pre-Tariqa stage and the Tariqa stage itself, just here I would like to present the factors behind the widespread of Sufism in the Sudan, mainly during the Fonj Sultanate. However, many factors have contributed to the successful spread of Sufism in Sudan. However, simplicity, flexibility, in addition to the tolerance, and at the same time, the moderate way of the Sufi doctrine, all of these, by the way, have come to contribute positively and successfully at the end to the widespread of Sufism into the Sudanese territories, or into the Sudan territories, I mean here mainly by the starting of the Fonj Sultanate era. The factors which he found behind the successful widespread of Sufi orders in the country, as has been stated by some researchers, represented in the following points. The geographical location of Sudan and its nearness to Egypt, Hijaz, and Maghreb for the Sufi orders were widespread in these areas. Therefore, the Sufi orders entered the Sudan backed up by economic and social circumstances. So the geographical location of the Sudan with its appropriate climate, environment, assisted the foreign preachers, Sufis, and scholars, ulama, in their mission, mainly the spread of the Sufi teachings during Fouj Sultanate. So this is just one of the factors that has helped had helped a lot the spread of Sufism and its dissemination across the country. Another factor that helped in the dissemination of Sufism in Sudan, and mainly the Sufi orders, is that the shuyukh of the Sufi orders have found a warm welcoming from the people of the Sudan, as they enjoyed par excellence of merits and good manners. This factor helps in drawing people to their side. More factor for the spread of Sufism in Sudan, the shuyukh of the Sufi orders as well have found encouragement and support from the rulers, mainly at the time of Sinar Kingdom. I mean here, the sultans and the kings, and in short, the rulers in the state, I mean here, Sinar state, such ruler have given, by the way, had given encouragement and support for the Sufis, and because of this, they find the atmosphere so widely open for them, and because of this, a Sufi teaching or Sufism teachings started to spread out in the country. In addition, tolerance inside Sufi orders is among the reasons that enable Sufi orders to attract different sections of the society. The Sudanese historian Hassan Makki once was asked why Sufis were succeeded more than the others in serving the society and in preaching Islam. He viewed the answer lies within the Sufi's simplicity, modesty, and tolerance, as well as in their addressing to the poor, the sick person, males and females issues. And that addressing, by the way, according to him, is done with willingness, with all kind of tolerance, and with blaming no one, nor criticizing any. So just this is the view of Hassan Makki in his answering to the question why Sufism succeeding the spread of Islam other than other groups in the country. So the tolerance, the simplicity, and the modesty, as well as the Sufi addressing to the poor problems, by the way, has played a lot in the spread and on the acceptance of Sufism to the populace. So to sum up this area, just I would like to say that the arrival of Sufism into Sudan during Fouj Sultanate has taken two stages. The first stage has been called the pre-Tariqa stage, which in its essence is individual personal efforts that have been done by some individual in the way of spreading the Sufi teaching itself. The second stage is the Tariqa stage, in which Sudan witnessed for the first time the arrival of organized schools. I mean here, organized Sufi school, and that has been represented on the arrival of the Qadiriya and the Shaziliya as the first Turuq that has entered the country. Meanwhile, behind the widespread of Sufism in the country during French Sultanate and beyond is referring to the geographical location of Sudan, near to Egypt, near to Hijaz, and near to Morocco. This is from a side. From another side, the encouragement that have been found by Sufis from the rulers as well as from the masses. And in addition to that, the nature of the Sufi doctrine itself is so very flexible, very simple, very moderate, and at the same time, it is a tolerant doctrine that encourages the masses to enter into Sufism and to accept Sufism as a way of belief. This is just part of the factor that has helped in the spread of Sufism into Sudan.